mercy on Jacob, have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, the people shall take them, and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and maids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Now to a story you'll see only on 6. A man accused of attacking a postal worker, yanking her hijab, slapping her, and punching her. Police say he may have been motivated by hate. NBC6's Kim Nguyen is live in Fort Lauderdale with what detectives say. Kim?
Yeah, well, this all happened as the postal worker was just trying to do her job. As you mentioned, he's now charged with slapping and punching that victim in the face. This right after making offensive comments.
What was supposed to be a typical day out delivering mail quickly took a turn for the worse, as police say one postal worker was beaten just doing her job. The alleged attacker, 47-year-old Kenneth Pinkney, is now behind bars. It happened on October 24th outside this apartment complex on Northwest 9th Avenue in Wilton Manors. According to the police report, the victim was in full uniform and operated a marked U.S. Postal Service truck when she walked up to deliver mail. The report states Pinkney rode his bicycle past her and made his hand into the shape of a firearm, then made a shooting gesture. It goes on to say that the suspect then allegedly started calling her names, telling her to go back to her country. Moments later, Pinkney approaches her and allegedly snatches off her hijab, then slaps and punches her in the face, causing her to bleed. She eventually is able to break free and get back in her truck, where she states she's about to call the police. Pinkney was charged with battery. The report states police also charged him with a hate crime based on the, quote, prejudice comments on the victim's ancestry, religion, and national origin. The attack comes in the midst of recent upticks in Islamophobic incidents and growing anti-Semitism as the Israel-Hamas war continues. The Council on American Islamic Relations said it's had a nearly 200% jump from last year in reports of bias incidents from October 7th to October 24th. The Anti-Defamation League says anti-Semitic incidents are up nearly 400% from this time last year.
And the Postal Service did send us a statement saying, in part, safety is a #1 priority for our workers.
All the praises and the honor goes to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha HaQudash, and double honors to the elder apostles and even the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you other brethren, you fellow believers and followers of this faith. Also, shalom to you few sisters as well, you sincere ones. And shalom to the hopefully elect, shalom to the elect. I want to go in this video here, which, of course, you have to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. But I'm going to kind of go into this video, and I'll probably go into the parable of Lazarus, which that's the first thing that came to my mind when it came to this. Now, I also want to touch on what they've been saying, okay, in the beginning of the video with this Jake who has rode by on a bike and put his finger up and, you know, squeezed the trigger, the fraudulent trigger, so to speak, with his finger like he had a gun. And she did say, I'm going to call the police. But when you go to the other reports, he said, well, I'm with that. I'll call the police right along with you. So what the news isn't going to show is what led up to this incident. They never show that. And the reason why I'm doing this video, because we had people and agents come up to us trying to provoke us in certain things, and we just, you know, live peaceably and say, okay, just go on about your business, no problem. It's all right, you got it, you know. You do that because if it ends up to a situation and you lose your cool, so to speak, the media is going to show you, right? Especially if it's somebody of another nation that they protect. You got to remember this woman who is wearing this attire, she's working for the United States Postal Service, right? So now you're coming against a government entity, so to speak, although the United States Postal Service is not even technically owned by America. That's something else. But they are still endorsed under corporation, right? So you don't want to get into something like that. But again, I want to go into this because this Jake is going to be used. This Jake, who may even be an agent, I'm not sure. They're going to use these situations to add up and lead up to other things and try to, push this whole agenda on us and make it seem like we're the ones, when we teach against this. It's almost like it's illegal to teach against it. Although they funded Black Lives Matter just so when they can come in the, so they can come and bring their doctrine in. You can't say anything because we funded Black Lives Matter, which doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, you can see the trickery. And let's go to 2 Corinthians 2:11, one of my favorites that we always hold to. Let's go to NIV version. It says, in order that Satan might not outwit us, for we are not unaware of his schemes. And when you look it up, it says his designs. And on the KJV, it says we're not ignorant of his devices. These are all devices. Now, what is also crazy is how they push the narrative of hate, but the same people on different levels, right, that even fight one another. And this is weird because Israel and Hamas and all this that's going on, right, they're calling it hate for whatever reason, but you see what's going on over there. But also what is sick, right, that there's a certain group of people that set up, these music industries, right, and they use these same Jakes to promote the hatred and the same behavior towards one another. So I don't understand why genocide is not in the ADL, right? Why is that listed as a hate, a hate agenda, right? The gun violence, the shooting and killing. Now, if this same guy rode up on a bike and pointed his finger at another Jake that was doing the same thing, I don't think it would have went that far. Wouldn't have been as big as a deal. But for whatever reason, everybody else has to be protected, right? All other nations got to be protected when we damn near got to be protected from our own damn people. You see the carjackings and everything else that goes on. But the sick part about it is that the media will always use Jake as the face of everything or any agenda that they're trying to push forward. I guess that's the best way I could say it. But let's go to 1 Peter 5:8. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walking by after seeking whom he may devour. Right? So it's always some schemes and scams. They're going to start sending them up to your camps, into your jobs. They got it locked in now, so you know exactly what they're doing. Again, I can't understand that because you get into it. It's gotten to the point, if you get into it with one of the alphabet crew, the LGB, whatever else, and it's a legitimate argument or legitimate fight, now they can deem you as being somebody who's hateful. Now, and this could have been a legitimate thing that he could have had with this woman, but if she was just, well, not even a woman, if she was a black woman, it's almost, they're going to start deeming Jake for coming against the black woman. So, but if it was another Jake there, what I mean by Jake, a so-called black man, they couldn't deem it as a hate crime. And the question is, why isn't it? Right? Why isn't it? Men pulling out guns on other men and shooting children in the street, that's not a hate crime. You had to hate somebody to do something like that, and it's criminal. But for whatever reason, as long as you blow each other away, and the people that push that agenda, who sign up for that and push it, hey, it's all right. I just saw on the news where there was $1 billion ring of counterfeit bags and glasses and everything in New York that they confiscated, and their names was something a Joji or something. So I don't know if they was Hamite Africans or Asians or whatever, but whatever reason they blocked their faces right on out of it. They didn't show their face. But the woman that just got caught for counterfeiting, they put her face right up there. The Jake that got caught, they put his face right up there. You know, so you see? So this is the way it goes. This is how they get down. Deuteronomy 15:6. It says, for the Lord thy God power hath blessed thee, and hath promised thee, and thou shalt lead unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. So the children of Israel are supposed to reign. And then in one of these scriptures, he says, you will pay by your own bread. You know, you will I forgot how it goes. But yeah, basically you will buy your own bread. You will buy back your own bread. It belongs to you. You will pay for your own food, your food. And that's what's happening because the world is made for the Israelites. So it's a lot going on, and they're trying to push a lot of things. Another form of hate is splitting up the families. That's not a hate crime, though, right? We'll jump over here to the parable of Lazarus real quick, right? So this is definitely relevant. Luke 16:19, which I didn't go over this in a minute. There was a certain man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and purple represents a form of royalty. That's why it's nothing wrong with having a purple garment. But when your whole camp is loaded with purple, like you're royalty in this man's kingdom, you know, the IUICers. But anyway, if that's what you want, all right. And it says, in fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day, right? Because he's prospered. But you know what? Now the captivities is reversing. He's going down now. It says, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores. And Lazarus represents the Israelites, man. You know, we're struggling. When you go to, let me see if I got this open. It was a Haggai 1:6. It says, ye have sown much, but bring in little. Ye eat, right? But ye have not enough. Right? You're not even eating nutritious food, you know. You drink and you're not filled with drink. Basically, you're undernourished, you're overworked and underpaid, right? It says, and he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. As soon as you get paid, all your bills go right out. Just like when you buy a brand new car, for those of you bought making car payments, like the first year, it's all good, or maybe 6 months. And then after that, the car payment becomes a serious hindrance to your bills, right? And now you figure out, I got to pay the car payments. And if you're paying car payments, you have to pay full coverage car insurance because that car technically belongs to the bank. So now you just laden yourself with another bill that you got to fight against. So then you realize all these small bills add up, like your phone bills and everything else. Next thing you know, you barely got enough money to eat. Then you got to get food stamps or whatever else. It's bad. You know, it's bad. And you Eves that took the bait, when it comes down to the end, you're going to be in trouble, right? Let's go back to Lazarus. And it says, and desires to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, right? Moreover, the dogs came and licked his wounds. Licked his sword. So when they set up these, when Edom set up all these businesses, as I was going into how there was $1 billion ring and them heathens, they got it and they running it and working it, right? And then, you know, the mass consumers are the ones of us who's buying that stuff, right? So then they set up their little outlets, bodegas and gas stations, and it's all Jake going up there to buy all that stuff. Now that same person, I'll say that's driving the mail truck probably got family that got stuff all set up, right? And then they put hell on us and taxing us, right? And we working hard and they keep whipping us and don't let us open up businesses, you know? So you'll go into a community that they call a hood, which a hood just simply means covering, and you'll go into the so-called black community or Hispanic community, right? Mainly the black, so-called black community, and you don't see none of us in our so-called communities, which when you go to community, it means togetherness, in the same agreeance. So you don't see any of us running any of that stuff. So these are the dogs that are licking the sores. And they're not going to give you anything on the arm, meaning you could pay it later. You're going to have to get it. They'll hire the black. I've seen this personally. Hire the black woman to cook in them soul food restaurants. And you know who run them? Moab. If that ain't the dogs that's licking the sores, man, right? And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried away by the angels of Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died, and he was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham. Now, when Edom goes and he comes back, and then you're going to have these other nations. And this is why why I'm doing this video, because you got those other nations, Edom, who set up these other nations to oppress you. Now, I don't know what this Jake was doing. Jake all bugged out anyway, man. But they're just making a real big incident out of that because of what he was. And he said, go back to your country. Now, we know the history of this country and how we was brought over here. Although they say in 9/11, they'll never forget. But for whatever reason, we're supposed to forget. But guess what? Ecclesiastes 3:15 says, the Lord requireth that which is past. So the Lord is not going to forget. And the cried, said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me. Send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in his flame. This also brings me to Obadiah. I'm just quoting it. I think it's 1:17, where it says, the house of Joseph of flame, but house of Esau for stubble. See, this is all the work of you, Edom, man. This is all the work of you. Everything you do. And they sitting up there talking about that going on over there when we're finding out that story's not even going down the way it is. But they've kicked those other people out of the land. But then they want us to join with them. It's a whole nother video. Everybody want us to side with them. But nobody's trying to stop the murdering. These Jakes, these ninjas, right? Where are they getting these guns from? Where are they getting these guns from? They don't make them. A Jake don't know how to make a gun. A Jake can't make a bowl of soup. But he know how to get, where are these guns coming from? And how's it linked with all this rap music, man? And these Bloods and Crips and guerrilla families and MS-13s. Come on, man. That should be in the ADL. Why the Bloods and Crips ain't in there, man? Why ain't that in the Anti-Defamation League? For whatever reason, they use it to separate themselves. But genocide is not in there. But anyway. And it says, but Abraham said, son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things. Likewise, Lazarus, evil things. So you had your time. Right? But now he is comforted and thou art tormented. It's called payback. Right? And you heathens that lick the sores, you're going to be put back in submission. You're only doing what you were set up to do. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. Let me get another one real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and 28. It says, Deuteronomy 28, this is different times of time. Deuteronomy 28 and 25, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into the kingdoms of all the kingdoms of the earth. Right? And we've been scattered through all the kingdoms of the earth, and everybody looks at us like the low-life scum, man. But you know why that is? Because the Lord is the one that put the spirit on them to do that. You know, if you read all of Deuteronomy 28, you know, which goes into different times, but it still fits us. You know? Anyway, I don't even know if this woman in the mail truck was an Eve. You never know. Could have been an Israelite, but the mindset that, you know, she was of another nation. That's all I have on that. Shalom.